Welcome back everyone to another episode of Business Talks. I am your host, Chawanne Burns. In today's episode, we are going to discuss Sonny Hostin. Her husband, her baby daddy, was arrested. They said on this arrest or on this indictment, he's been charged with several counts of insurance fraud. So we'll further discuss that on today. Also, there's been wildfires happening in California. We'll talk a little bit about that. I have a story about Dalton politics, so we'll discuss that. And also, yesterday we didn't get to to view the video of Stephen A. Smith commenting on Skip Bayless allegations, so we'll discuss that. That's all on today's episode of Business Talk, so you guys stay tuned. Something like this, a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. Something like this, a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. You guys put in the chat, let me know where you're viewing from. Please put in the chat and let me know where you're viewing from. I see we have Celeste Hodges in the building. It's always great to see you, Celeste. Always at the top. Justin Thompson is in the building. Hope all are having a great day. Noble Young is in the building. EH is in the building. Kennard the DJ. Chawanne, what's popping? What is good with you, Kennard? Natural Beauty. Hey, y'all. Sandy Rodriguez, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, I haven't seen you in about a week or so. So hopefully you had a great holiday, Sandy. And thank you for tuning in. Justin Thompson. What's good, Justin? It's always great to see you. Natural Beauty, sending love from Louisiana. And Sandy is also saying prayers for PAF, PAF. That's the people in California. Kevin Walker tuning in from Pittsburgh. Hello. Thank you guys for tuning in. Okay, so we're not going to hold you much longer, or because I'm in training this week, and matter of fact, I think this is going to be a reoccurring thing for some time, because I'm starting something new that we probably just will be doing our business talks at 12:30, between 12:30 and 12:45, but I'm going to push for the 12:30 mark. But anyway, I can't keep you guys too long because I have training. I had to be online at 2:00. So, we're going to start our first story. Our first story is coming out of California, and you see Gavin Newsom's wildfire photo op sparks fury live updates. Okay, this is from the Daily Wire, but before I share that with you, let me just share this with you. And this was on CNN. And, they're just showing you guys, this is based out of Santa Monica, California, but almost like the severeness of this fire. And people are like barely escaping. And we don't know. And I think some people were trapped inside their house because the flames, it spreaded like crazy, and people had very little warning to get out. Okay, so this is what we're seeing here.
Both sides of the highway, there were embers flying over the lanes of the highway. So as we're driving behind this emergency vehicle, I'm hearing an explosion on my right. There are houses on fire right up against the road on the left. And so at this point, I'm just holding my breath, and I can feel the heat from inside the car, just watching the embers fly across the windshield. We get put on a lot of kind of risky assignments, and in this situation, we have to make a calculated risk for the best way to leave. And thankfully, we got out of there, and we got a real look at just the level of destruction and really the fear that a lot of those residents might be feeling if they're looking at those images on the news, if they've evacuated. I can't imagine. They're wondering if their house is the next one on fire, if they have anything to go home to.
Yeah, and it's very tragic. So we're going to send our prayers to them. And it's I do have a video. I don't know if this has or have to do with the flames that started, but someone posted on TikTok that they caught someone starting a fire in California, and we can't tell if this guy is actually starting a fire and it caused, all that destruction that it caused in California, but one can only speculate. So and they're saying it's a homeless person, so I'm not for sure, but we know that the fires, they don't just start themselves. We know people are actually starting these fires, and it's really tragic. Anyway, they're saying something about 30,000 residents in Pacific Palisades areas are now under mandatory evacuation orders, amid warnings there is immediate threat to their lives. Blaze also broken out in Eaton foothills of Altadena and a third of Symar in San Fernando Valley, which have seen homes razed to the ground. This is kind of the map of the plan where they're evacuating, and they have fire perimeter, but of course they're even evacuating in almost close to Malibu, some of those areas. So, but this area right here that's where they're trying to contain the fire. Now there's been a lot of talk on the fire chief that's in Pacific Palisades fire, that area. And they're saying that this lady, they're giving this lady a hard time because it's like they're saying she's not doing a good job containing the fire, and of course people are like, oh, she's a woman, she's a DEI hire, right? She's a DEI hire, okay? They're saying Kristen Crowley was appointed as the Los Angeles fire chief, first female and LGBTQ fire chief, emphasizing a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. This historic appointment aims to increase diversity within the department, where currently about 115 out of 3,300 firefighters are women. However, some social media posts have critiqued this focus on DEI, suggesting it might detract from traditional firefighting responsibilities. MS reports emergency where water reservoirs were not refilled. In several posts, several top X users are saying, on the left is the LA fire chief allowing her city to be burned down with no water in the fire hydrants. Well, I think Donald Trump was mentioning this years ago, and I saw a recent post about this. California did not want to invest in desalting water plants to make fresh water and clean water, and they prefer, I guess, droughts. I'm not for sure. They're complaining about droughts and stuff, but they didn't want to invest in these dewatering or desalting plants. And so that's why some of the hydrants are dry, because they don't have enough water to fill them. And it's like, okay, you're surrounded by water. Why wouldn't you clean the water up so you could put it to use? You're literally surrounded by water. You guys put it in chat. It's really baffling to me. Now, we can't blame the fire chief on that. That's Gavin Newsom's fault. But then you have, her saying, "Oh, we're going to focus on bringing more women to become firefighters." Why? Women don't want those jobs. They barely can't. I think, don't you got to be able to lift 180 pounds up a ladder? So what woman would qualify for that job? No, I don't know no woman that would qualify for the job. Hence the number 115 out of 3,300. So and so now people are saying, yeah, this is a bunch of mess, and DEI needs to go. Of course. And so this is another. Before I go to my next story, this is just another scene of people being evacuated out of the hospital. So, and it's like, and it's a dangerous, area to be in. And they call it wildfires because it spreads wildly. The wind is blowing. You can't really control it. But this DEI type of thing. I'm not saying women can't do the job, but when we have things that when we see things like this, we have a national emergency or even a state emergency, because they officially called California in a state emergency. And then you find out, oh, you got a woman that's saying, oh, my primary focus is to bring more women into the workplace. No, your primary focus is to better manage fires and to extinguish fires. How can we extinguish a fire more rapidly, or how can we contain a wildfire faster? What do we need to do? What materials we need to have? What type of training? Because I'm pretty sure firefighters go through a lot of training in mock scenarios, and especially in these type of areas. They do a lot of training in mock scenarios. So you think your primary focus will be that, and not of, like she says, creating, support, and promoting a culture that values diversity, inclusion, equity, while striving to meet and exceed expectation of communities are Chief Crowley's priorities, as she is grateful for the opportunity to serve LA. And they're saying, oh, she's the first female LGBTQ chief, created a DEI bureau to train firefighters. Why do you need that? Like, a firefighter does not, a fire doesn't care if you're a woman. It doesn't care if you're a man. It doesn't care if you're gay. It doesn't care if you're, whatever you identify. It's a fire. It's a fire. It doesn't have any feelings. It's not going to say, oh, you're DEI, let me hold back my what is it? Heat transfer. Let me not transfer my heat to other things that's flammable because this is a DEI person. It doesn't think that way. You guys put it in the chat. Let me know what you think. I had to talk about it because it's all over on Twitter. So I had to talk about it. So, but before I go to our next story, let me just play this clip right quick. I'm a firm believer. I think anyone should be able to work whatever job they want to. But I'm also a firm believer men shouldn't be in women's spaces and women shouldn't be in men's space. I could truly say that firefighting should be just a man's job. I could truly say that. I think firefighting and police officers, now not detectives, because I think you know when you get on the detective side, you get some really smart women that know how to detect stuff. So I'm not saying they shouldn't be police officers at all, but police officers, firefighting, a military, especially combat military type of jobs, those type of jobs, I think those are men dominated spaces, and should they just be held, should they change the space to accommodate women? Should they change their rules and regulations and their metrics to get into these spaces to accommodate women? I don't think so. Because when you're at war, a bullet doesn't care if you're a woman. They don't care. If you were taken hostage, what is it? A POW, a prisoner of war. If you on the other side, you're a woman. You'll just be a prisoner of war, and you will be subject to getting all the treatment that maybe the men get. And that's everything that they do to individuals that they have captured. So the other side is not going to change of how they do business. So why should we? Bullets don't have discriminatory practices. Fires don't have discriminatory practices. So why should you have discriminatory practices? And I've used the word discriminatory practices because when you're saying that we need to hire or we need to adjust these metrics to accommodate more women, that means you're discriminating against the man that's already meeting the qualifications. Hello. That's just my own personal opinion. I'm not trying to get any women mad, but we just need to step back and think about why do we need to be in this space? What's the purpose of this? Women are not equal to men. I'm sorry, we're not. We're not physically equal to men. And whenever we come to that realizations, we will stop getting all this craziness and thinking that men are equal or women are equal to men and we could do the same thing as men. Mentally we can, and I think some mentally, like, I don't know because I used to trade, and if you look at the statistics of trading, women don't survive in trading because they can't deal with the pressure of trading. It's high stress. They're like 96% of successful traders are men. Not to say women is not able to trade, but they can't deal with the stress. So that's why women tend not to survive in that particular field. Whereas, or the same as the military, you have some women, they can't survive in the field, in the military. So we just need to step back and stop all this, we're equal and we're not. I don't say just treat us like shit. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we're not equal. That's not how God made us. We're made from a man's rib. That's why we have less ribs than the man. We're going against nature. At this point, we're going against nature in our design. God designed us in a certain way. And not only women, men are going against nature. You're going against the grain, and this is why we're having a bunch of problems. Anyway, I'm off my soapbox, you guys. I just wanted to stress that to you. Like, we need to stop it. Okay, so that was that. Okay, let me get to our next story. You guys put in the chat. Let me know what you think. This is a more fun story. You guys, I don't know if you eat Girl Scout cookies. Oh my God, I was in Girl Scouts, and I was a cadet senior, and matter of fact, I went to some of the national conventions in Georgia, and this particular story, is about Girl Scout cookies. They're retiring 2 cookies. Not my favorite cookies, so I don't care. So they're retiring the 2 cookies, and they're saying that beginning of this season, the s'mores. I don't know if you guys like s'mores, and the toast yays. I never heard of the toast yays. S'mores I have. S'mores I bought 1 box, but it's not like my favorite. But they're saying it's discontinuing after this year, joining the raspberry rally flavor in retirement. Never heard of the raspberry rally, but and I never tasted it. Okay, they said Girl Scout of America is likely hoping that the heads up won't spark an online frenzy that happened 2 years ago when the limited edition raspberry cookie was more popular than anticipated, and the boxes were resold on eBay for as much as $30. Well, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe I need to business idea, stack up on the s'mores and the toasties, and because they're like $5 a box right now, right? To buy Girl Scout cookies and sell them on eBay for $30. Sell them on eBay. So s'mores was introduced in 2017, and French toast inspired toasties rolled out it in 2021. And it says not even Girl Scouts cookies are immune to inflations. The price of the box could cost $7 and increased to $1 from 2 years ago. The organization last hiked the price to $6 in 2023. Prior to cookies increased the price from 4 to 5. See, I guess I won't be buying this because I'm not spending $7 for no damn cookies. I love the Samoas though. You guys put in chat which cookie, if you do like Girl Scout cookies, which are your favorites flavors. Samoas and the trefoils. Trefoils, you can't beat them. I love butter cookies, and it's always good with tea. Samoas, I just like to eat them because they're so sweet, and I love the coconut. And my husband loves the tagalongs. The tagalongs and the other do-si-dos. Tagalongs and the do-si-dos. Those are our favorite. We buy those every year. But I can't see myself spending $7 on a box. Maybe I'll probably buy 1 or 2 just to support the kids. Okay, so that was it for that story. You guys put in chat. Let me know what you think. Let me see what you guys are saying. Sandy, I am sorry to hear that your kids were sick with the pneumonia. Yeah, I hear that's going around. It's a lot of viruses is going around. Hopefully they're doing well. Sorry I didn't have no audio. Mannequin is saying Milky Way. Love caramel. Okay. Sandy says Samoas. I freeze. Yeah, I love. They taste so good frozen. Let's be honest. Who came here to simp after they seen the thumbnail? Okay, hood. Jiu-jitsu. Well, thank you. Yes, thank you. They are doing better. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so let's talk about our girl. Our girl. To me, you can't talk a lot of crap when you have, and I'm going to play this old clip. Hopefully you guys can hear it. I actually look at it to make sure you can hear it. Sonny Hostin is the one that talks a lot of crap, and she gives out the aura like I'm so better than everybody else. And that's what she did during the election time. Anyone that didn't have a degree that voted for Trump, she was like, oh, these people didn't have the degree. They're less educated. They're this, they're that. And remember, she talked really bad about white women in the suburban. Anybody supporting white women or Donald Trump, or white women that's supporting Donald Trump, is like a roach supporting a can of roach spray. Okay? Because Donald Trump, well, then he did not agree with abortion. Okay? But now he's came out saying he does agree with certain restrictions on abortion. Okay? But anyway, so this is Sonny Hostin. She's so much superior than everyone else. Like you and I, she's way superior than everyone else. This is what she had to say. Remember, she was being a sourpuss during the election time. And this is what she had to say. Hopefully you guys could hear this. Okay, I don't know why it's not showing. Let's see if you hear this, you guys. I'll rewind it.
52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men actually voting more for him, and you have and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president. Right. So why do you think that uneducated white women voted against their reproductive health freedoms, and why do you think Latino men voted in favor of someone that's going to says he's going to deport the majority of his community?
White women like being called uneducated white women. I think the economy matters, national security matters. But when you put people in these boxes, I think that's a takeaway from this race.
We have 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men actually voting more for him, and you have and black men was not the story. Color.
Okay, so that was, you heard that was on November 6th when she came out after the election, and she was stating how many uneducated folks voted for Donald Trump. Okay, and you heard Alyssa Farah saying you're just lumping all these people. Let's say this. I have a degree, but I wouldn't dare tell someone that didn't have the degree that they're uneducated. Just because you have a degree, that means you took out a bunch of student loans. And I'm talking to myself. I took out a bunch of student loans to get a degree, and I know how to pass tests. That don't mean I got a whole bunch of common sense. However, I do got common sense, but it doesn't mean that you're so much better than the next person because you got a bunch of degrees. You just know how to pass the test. And we could see Sonny does not have a bunch of common sense, because she goes to say, why would these people or women vote against their reproductive health? Well, just like you're supposed to be Catholic. You don't believe in abortion, and you shouldn't. So why are you touting this? Why are you standing behind this 10 toes down and you're a Catholic person? You probably never had an abortion, and you're past the reproductive stage. You in your 50s. So quit it with the mess. So you see that I'm on my high horse, and I'm so much better than you because I voted for a Jewish man and a minority woman because I want change. Okay. And this clip, she's going to explain that.
Color. I was so hopeful that a mixed race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country. And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
Well, I think it...
Color.
She's so stuck on her high horse that she thinks it's cultural resentment. She just wants to encompass race about everything. And I bet if she comes out and talk about her husband being arrested, he was arrested yesterday, she's going to say it's because he's a minority man. Okay. Now this is, I guess she gave us clues prior to her, us knowing, but this happened a few days, actually in sometime in December. I think it was December the 17th when this happened, when they came out with the indictment. But after, when was that guy, the CEO, Brian, that Brian guy was, unalive. She started talking about that, and then she mentioned her husband in this.
Now, statements wait, hold on. Let Sonny get in here.
I agree with mostly everything that's been said. I mean, we know that, only about 31% of Americans trust our healthcare system. We have a terrible healthcare system. And, doctors suffer because of big corporations as well. Doctors that want to do good, like my husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained his whole life to do. So there are a lot of problems with it. But the notion that we are in a violent country, this country was built on violence. We're a very violent country. And it's just undeniable that that's the case. And so I'm not, unfortunately, surprised that people are celebrating the use of violence. I'm not surprised that this young man thought that change could be accomplished through violence. 1 in 4 Americans say violence against government sometimes is justified. And today, in 2024, 1 in 10 Americans say violence is justified right now against corporations and government.
That's very scary.
Those are just.
And even though I don't think he might change something, he might have laid out a plan for a copycat. That's what I see.
Yeah.
Now, one point I do agree with her. America is a pretty violent country. I mean, if we look at other countries, in certain instances, we are pretty violent. But I think, she's trying to act like, doctors can't do any wrong. Doctors, they're giving out these services and they're not paid by the insurance company. Well, it's a scam, number one, yeah. So you got to insure and sue the insurance company to get paid. No, the doctors usually don't sue the insurance company. They're usually suing the patient and ruin the patient's credit. So I don't know where she get that from, but this is all in your window because now we know probably why she said that is because her husband is facing allegations on defrauding the insurance company. Okay. It says Sonny Hostin, a surgeon husband named in insurance fraud lawsuit. The View co-host Sonny Hostin's surgeon husband is starting his new year facing a federal lawsuit accusing him of providing fraudulent medical services.
I think we need to find moral clarity, in this country. And I just remember after January 6th.
Oh, my bad.
I think we need to find moral clarity, in this country. And I just remember after January 6th, you had someone like Mitch McConnell placing the blame on January 6th.
Now, this is her. She's talking about moral clarity and the high ground and all that stuff. Now remember, I don't know if you guys, we didn't view this on our show, but she just said this like a couple of days ago. She's trying to equate January 6th to the Holocaust. This is what she says.
Where it belonged, squarely on Donald Trump's shoulders. And then you started seeing people backtrack that and losing their moral center. You had Condoleezza Rice, I believe, on this very show saying, we need to move on from January 6th. I say no. You don't move on, because January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery, we need to never forget, because past becomes prologue if you forget any race. I want to.
This is your girl, the moral high ground girl. She equates January 6th to chattel slavery. Like, are you serious? She equates January 6th to Jews being massacred. 6 million of them. There was 6 million Jews died. She's equating January 6th, a person where one person died, and people keep on putting in the chat, no, it was 6 people. No, that's a damn lie. One person died during January 6th. One person. The other people that died, they died of natural causes. A couple of days later, somebody suffered from a heart attack. Another person, actually it was 2 people suffered from a heart attack. Somebody else died of an unknown illness that they were at the Capitol. They happened to be, but these are all coincidence. One person died during January 6th. And so she's trying to equate January 6th to slavery. It was such an atrocity. And another thing that I'm going to talk about January 6th, probably tomorrow, something like that. I got to gather some information, more information. Another thing about January 6th that they're trying to twist, they're trying to basically rewrite history. There was a representative that I listened to yesterday that now they're saying, yeah, they had guns, AR-15s, and weapons were. They had a stash of weapons, not on the campus, but it was somewhere else. And we know Washington, D.C. is not a friendly place to be at. It's very high crime. So I guess they're trying to say, oh, these weapons were stashed for the January 6th rioters. But if you look at the video, even though the crowd was pretty rowdy in some of the videos, and that's the main videos they show you, the rowdy crowd. But 8 hours out of the other videos, they were very tamed. Okay, they're walking through the police Capitol Police actually let these guys through, or let the protesters through, and they was roaming the halls of the Capitol building. But I digress. This representative said that they had AR-15s, and if you look at the video, only people that had the AR-15s were the Capitol Police, and they were pointing it to the crowd. So why would they say that? And people will watch that video and say, oh, they had AR-15s. And you guys know my stance on January 6th, even though I think it was like, okay, they took it way overboard. And if it was some black folks probably wouldn't have been able to get away with all that crazy stuff. But it's still a protest. It's still a protest. And when you say insurrection, or it was an insurrection, there were no weapons. Insurrections to overthrow the government. If that was an insurrection, then we need to go back to our drawing board and really think about a coup in the insurrection. We need to go back. because you're talking about men that's marching, men and women, but mostly men that was at the Capitol. And none of those things, a coup didn't happen. They didn't take over the Capitol. It wasn't no violent day. Oh, they use flag poles. Well, they had their flag waving it in the air, American flag and Trump flag. So what are you talking about? Anyway, people have the right to protest. And when you tell American citizens, oh, because of you, because of who you support, you don't have a right to protest, what are you really saying? You support this particular person, so you don't have the right to protest. And I tell that to every person that, tries to kind of argue with me about, oh, it was such a horrible day. Well, they didn't say Black Lives Matter when they was protesting, burning down all these damn buildings, $2 billion worth of damages. They didn't say, oh, it's such a horrible, these was a horrible 3 days. They hardly even mentioned the guy that old boy killed. He killed that one. They advanced him. He had a gun, and so he shot him, and he ended up getting off. They don't even mention him. They don't say, oh, it was a horrible day. No, you don't hear nothing about that. All they do is talk about the guy that got off, but they don't never talk about the guys that were killed. And they were 2 white guys. They don't never talk about they burnt down Minnesota Police Department. They burnt down Target. And they don't never talk about that. They literally burnt it down. And if you look it up, Google it, $2 billion worth of damages during the BLM riots. And then you're going to say this is the worst day in history. It's a bunch of bullshit. Anyway, going back to Sonny, she's on her moral ground. And now we found out why she Miss Hoity-Toity likes to say, oh, I'm so much better than everybody else. And then you're sleeping with a 34 times felon person. He probably going to end up with a lot of charges, probably way more than 34 charges. They're saying this is the largest case ever in history, RICO charge. They have 200 defendants on this case. It says The View co-host Sonny Hostin's surgeon husband, Emmanuel, accused of insurance fraud in a bombshell lawsuit. In a longtime husband of the View co-host Sonny Hostin is starting the new year off under a cloud after being accused of federal insurance fraud. Orthopedic surgeon Manny Hostin is among nearly 200 defendants named in one of the largest RICO cases ever filed in New York. He and many of the others are accused or getting, I think they meant of getting kickbacks by performing surgery and fraudulently billing a company that insures taxi companies and Uber and Lyft drivers. Okay. It says Hostin's knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services, including arthroscopic surgeries. The lawsuit filed on December the 17th claims the insurance firm American Transit was then billed in exchange for kickbacks and or other compensations which were disguised as dividends or other cash contributions. It says Hostin's attorney, Daniel Thwaites, told Daily Mail his client denies each and every allegation and called the lawsuit a blanket scattershot, meritless lawsuit by near bankrupt insurance carrier. Usually insurance carrier don't go bankrupt, so that's pretty suspicious. But maybe they didn't do the large pool risk before they insured their people. Anyway, maybe they had too many claims coming in. Anyway, but if they're near bankrupt, it's probably because of you. because you're putting fraudulent insurance claims in there, and you're acting like you're doing these surgeries and you didn't really do them. So anyway, it says Sonny Hostin surgeon husband, Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, is one of 200 defendants accused of fraudulent billing insurance company American Transit for unnecessary medical services in exchange for kickbacks. And this is her husband. They're saying they've been married since 1998. It is meant to intimidate and harass doctors from collecting for care given to American Transit insured and their passengers. What? He said Hostin has an impeccable record, adding American Transit has rushed into a lawsuit without ever conducting an examination of Dr. Hostin or expressing any concerns to his lawyers. The real story here is about an insurance carrier abusing the legal system to limit the restrict health care benefits to its insured and their passengers and write off its proper obligations. I have a question. This sounds suspicious. So you're saying that, okay, I take a Uber or a Lyft, something happens, and then I say, oh, you need to be billed for, or I need to do X, Y, and Z on you. Okay. And I act like I do the surgery, or I do the surgery, and I bill the insurance company. And I bill the insurance company because the lawyers have to come after these insurance companies. And I bill the insurance company, and the lawyer will get the money for the insurance company, and then the doctor would get a kickback from it. I'm assuming that's what happened. And I think that might be, I think it's a scheme that's been going on for a long time. My sister got in an accident in Chicago not too long ago, and the lawyer referred her to a certain lawyer, and they have these in-care network doctors that they refer them to. And they told her, oh, you need to get, because her back was hurting, we need to put you to sleep and get this shot in your back. It's in your spine. We need to put this shot in your spine. And my sister started asking questions. She was like, well, why would you need to put me to sleep, number one? And why do I need the shot in my spine? You know, I go to physical therapy? Can I do all these other things that you could do to alleviate pain, like chiropractor, acupuncture, physical therapy? No, they jump from, I hurt my back. I got an x-ray. And she went to this doctor, and they said, no, we need to put you to sleep and get this injection in your back. And maybe this is this microscopic whatever thing that they're talking about. I got to look it up. But that's what they suggested. They didn't suggest physical therapy or nothing. And so she asked them, how long would it last? Oh, about 3 months or 4 months. So she said, well, you mean to tell me every 4 months I have to be put to sleep so you can inject something in my back? Anyway, so this is something that I don't think is new. I think it happens very frequently. And it says, this is at the U.S. District Court. I'm just going to read some of this. It's saying the surgical orthopedic providers purportedly performing arthroscopic procedures at, by, and or Surgicor's ASC included, but are not limited to defendants Ackerman, Apozidis, Baum, blah, 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 blah. They mentioned Hostin's name and all these other names. And I guess one doctor passed away, and they said along with the late Ajoy Sina, individually referred to by the name and collectively referred to surgical orthopedic providers. And so I guess Hostin, he has maybe 4 or 5, he has 6 practices, it looks like. 6 associated surgicals. I'm assuming this is where he practices at, or that's his practices. Hostin Orthopedics and where they're associated with. It says Dr. Hostin was named in a lawsuit as the owner of the Hostin's Orthopedics that was providing arthroscopic procedures without waiting to see if the accident victims recovered with more conservative treatment. I didn't even read this part, but let me just look. Let's look. You guys put in the chat. Do you know what arthroscopic surgery? I think that's the procedure that they tried to do to my sister. So they're saying it's minimally invasive, but it allows the surgeon to examine and treat the joint structures with a small light camera called arthroscope. It's commonly performed on joints such as knee, shoulder, hip, and elbow. So no, this is something different because they was talking about putting something here in her back, a shot in her back. But anyway, so, and even though they're saying it's minimal invasive, that's mean it's going to cost a lot because, the technology is there. It's still going to cost just as much if they just cut your knee out and put a new knee in. It's going to cost just as much. So just because they call it minimal invasive, you still need to be put to sleep and you still need to go through the regular rigmarole of going to surgery. But it's less healing time. Okay. Anyway, so now this is on page 232. I tried to find a document, but I couldn't find it. But it's saying defendant Emmanuel Hostin is a natural person Why would they put that? Is a natural person is a natural person residing in state of New York? Maybe Emmanuel Hostin to say he's a natural born citizen? Is that what they mean? Was licensed to practice medicine in the state of New York on or about August of 2002 under the license. They list his license and New York departments of the state and or education as the record owner Hostin Orthopedic. Public records indicates that since at least approximately 2016, Hostin had approximately 2% ownership interest in Empire and have ownership interest in something else, interest in Empire State ACS, and furtherance the scheme to defraud alleged herein. Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services, including arthroscopic surgeries, to covered persons through Hostin's Orthopedics that he purportedly performed at one or more surgical ASC, including Empire State, Fifth State, All City, New Horizon, New Jersey City, Saddlebrook, Rockaway, and billed to American Transit through each those entities in exchange for kickbacks and or compensations, which were disguised as dividends or other cash distributions for his investment in Empire State ASC. Defended Hostin Orthopedic Sports Medicine was incorporated in 2016 and purports to be a professional corporation authorized to do business in the state of New York, with its principal place of business located in Lexington Avenue or on Lexington Avenue. Defendant Hostin is the record owner of Hostin Orthopedic and purportedly provided examinations to covered persons through Hostin's Orthopedics and fraudulently billed American Transit for medical and other healthcare services pursuant to a fraudulent predetermined treatment protocol irrespective of medical necessity, in exchange for kickbacks and or financial compensation paid by one or more controllers and or entities owned, controlled, and operated by them and or John corporations. Okay. Let me just read this. It's saying that the law was introduced in 1974 in the wake of rapidly rising automobile insurance costs, and when accidents victims were experiencing long delays in compensation. There you have it, folks. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I don't know how long you guys been gone. So that, oh, okay. I just got off. But anyway, can you hear me? You guys put it in that chat. So that's that. I like I said, I believe it. I'm not surprised. I think you have these janky insurance companies that will, not janky insurance company. Well, you do have janky insurance companies. Everybody kind of janky, but you have these ambulance chasers. They'll tell you, oh, you need to go see my provider and they will help you with X, Y, and Z. And then you go to their provider and they're saying, oh, you need surgery. Like, what about physical therapy? What about all these other things that we could do without going to surgery? Now, I don't want to go under the knife. Every time my back is hurting, you're going to put me to sleep. Like that doesn't even make any sense. So I do actually believe this claim. I think it is probably a prevalent thing that most major cities are seeing. And I can just imagine in New York, because it's highly congested, that if there is an accident, and it might be a fender bender, and the person in the back like, oh, my back. Since you got this no fault law, they just trying to get paid. Oh, my back, my neck, and my back. Okay. So they're trying to get paid. And then you got Sonny Hostin. Sonny Hostin thinks she's just so much better than everybody. And then her husband is facing these allegations. I thought, for some reason, I read that Sonny Hostin's husband was being arrested, but I guess that was wrong. He's just being sued for insurance fraud. Now, if they're claiming insurance fraud, see, some people put on here, husband of Sonny Hostin from The View has been arrested for alleged federal insurance fraud. This is the largest RICO case ever in New York. That's what some people are putting. So I'm not for sure if he was actually arrested, because it doesn't really say it in this particular article. In the other articles I read, I'm not for sure. I'm not for sure. But he's been accused of federal insurance fraud. So that's what he's been accused of. So you guys, this is all the time I have for today. Make sure you tune in for tomorrow, and I'll try to get to the stories that I did not get to on today. Okay. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, and make sure you comment and share this channel. I'm sending all my good to you. I will talk to you tomorrow.